I was talking about the other night when the National Employment Law Project, they did a study. And, I guess it's one of those things that you go, did we really need NELP to come out with this new report titled Restoring Middle-Class Jobs at America's Ports Through Labor Law Enforcement? Did we really need someone to tell us that we're not enforcing our labor laws, that they're antiquated and broken and we need to be updating them? In fact, I've needed them updated for probably a generation now. Maybe going back and undoing Taft-Hartley and Landrum Griffith and all of the assaults on the National Labor Relations Act that have gone on through the years. And I, for one, have said yes. It's about damn time. And someone who spent more than 20 years in the trucking industry and had seen that firsthand, destroyed by deregulation. And what the NELP report pointed out is that since deregulation, wages have fallen precipitously. In fact, the 15 years following deregulation in 1980, from 1980 to 1995, wages had fallen 30%. So when I tell you back in 1988, I was making $15 an hour throwing boxes on a shipping dock, and they're not making that now, that bears that out. And you go back to pre-Reagan, pre-Jimmy Carter signing deregulation, 85% of the LTL trucking market was unionized. Now it's around 15 to 18%. And the wages have fallen. The conditions have gotten worse. And now you've got basically the trucks rolling down the roads, sweatshops on wheels. And I look at these port drivers who this study points out work on average of 59 hours a week and make about $9.30 an hour. I'm sorry, I'm one of the most dangerous jobs in the country for $9.30 an hour. Just seems something seriously wrong, which is why we need to get behind and help fight for these folks. And they're going to help fight for themselves, which is why I've asked Carol Cauley. She is a port driver down in Georgia to come talk to us. Carol, thanks for taking time for us.
Thanks for having me.
I look at this situation, and I've been screaming about the conditions of truck drivers for about 20 years now, because what we've done is we've put all of the responsibility, all of the costs, all of the pressures on the backs of the drivers, shifting that responsibility on the folks who really can't bear the weight.
That's so true, Rick. It is so true. Right now, we have to deal with DOT, which would not be a problem if we was making the right amount of money. DOT, we would love to see DOT pull us over if all these regulations were put back in place. Just like you said, we're all of it's put on the backs of us. No one bears the burden of anything but those drivers that's out there carrying this freight, that's put on these shelves, that's taking care of families. And the sad part about it is we can't afford the freight that we put on the shelves. We can't afford it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just ridiculous.
It's a horrible situation. And, I've been saying for years, look, truck driving is one of the most dangerous jobs in the country. I mean, statistically, it's borne out more fatalities in truck driving than just about any profession. And, for someone, now the only truck I ever drove, I drove for a union company all of my driving career. When I went to work and the brakes were out of adjustment, when I went to work and something wasn't fixed, I mandated, and I wouldn't move without getting it fixed. I now see people who don't have that protection, don't have that voice. They're being forced to take that equipment, and not just their own safety, but the safety of everybody else, I believe, is at danger.
It really is, and it's so sad that is happening. And unfortunately, now we're out here and learning new experiences and having to be our own mechanics, because we have to maintain those things because we can't afford our own mechanics. So we're out here trying to adjust the brakes and make them right. We're out here trying to make sure all the lights are working and they're legal, even if we have to rewire some of the lights on these chassis ourselves. And it is dangerous, and they put a lot of responsibility as far as when we get into an accident. I've had a couple of drivers get into an accident, and DOT just tell them, listen, I understand it ain't your fault, but we got to give you a ticket for something because y'all carry the highest license out here, and y'all have to have a ticket. And that's sad for us. It is sad.
And, I've talked to a number of port drivers from New Jersey, and I've talked to people who go in and out of the rail yards. And I've had a couple of them tell me, I have no brakes on the tractor. I have to pull the trailer brakes whenever I want to stop. And that, I got to be honest, in this country should never be the case.
Never. I mean, I have children out there, and on a day-to-day basis, I live right by our port, and I pray every day my kids are out here on this road because, unfortunately, because of all the deregulations that we do have, these drivers can't maintain what they need to maintain on these trucks.
No.
I shake my head at some of these trucks myself.
So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I'm looking at this, and as an employee, you have some rights, but as an independent contractor, which is what this report kind of focuses on, the abuse, the misclassification of independent contractors. What voice does an independent contractor have, especially when they don't even own their own equipment? So I'm curious. When you look at the scenario that I've laid out, as an independent contractor, not even an employee with any rights to the job, how much weaker are you in that position?
We feel like we are a prisoner. We cannot do anything, cannot say anything. Basically, we have to do as they tell us to do, and then when they tell us to go home, we have to go home.
So let me ask you this, because, I've had a bunch of truck drivers, and one of the truck driver, there's bravado, you've got the macho, well, if I don't like it, I'll go somewhere else. So, the obvious question is the wages are horrible. The equipment that I've seen personally is dilapidated, and really I don't even know how it's roadworthy in a lot of cases. Mm-hmm. Why do it? Why not find another place to go?
No matter the gentlemen, the men and women that say, "Oh, I'll find somewhere else to go," or "I'm happy where I'm at," what they don't realize is the next place they go, it's the same place. They're just changing names on the company. It's just the same old place. You're not going to find no one no better because they don't have regulations neither. No. So they can do us how they want to do us and do their chassis and everything how they want to do. And they don't get in trouble. We do.
And I think that's the point people need to understand. I think you hit that right on the head. It's that person holding that CDL. It's that person holding that license. They're the ones who are put in this position where you've got an unscrupulous company. Now, they're not all bad. But in order to compete, you've got to be all of them have got to be a little bad in order to compete because they're all pulling each other down.
Yeah.
And as that person at the end of the rope, because that's where the driver's at, the end of the rope, you've got to make this decision: do my kids eat, or do I not take this load?
Oh yeah. Or do I go home and make dinner for my children, or do I stay out and get another $35 and take 2 hours to get it? And miss that time that you should be spending with their homework and don't come in till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Those are the choices we have to make as drivers. Unfortunately, I'm the mom, and I have to be out there just like the men do. And so my child misses out on mom and dad because we're both out there doing the same thing, and we're trying to make ends meet. And it's come home or let someone watch them until we get home. And by the time we get home from pulling this freight that is not giving us anything, we don't have time for the children. It's bedtime. See you in the morning. Love you. Good night.
So looking at this situation, which I don't think anyone can look at what happens to the port drivers especially, and the people who run rail yards and that stuff, I don't know that anyone can look at that and go, yeah, that's a great job. And conditions are adequate, and people are perfectly classified because let me ask you this. Did you want to be an independent contractor when you went to apply with the company? Did you think you were applying for a job to be an employee, or did you go, you know what, I really just want to be my own boss and take all the responsibility and of course all the headaches? Explain that to me.
Okay. There's no way any person in their right minds would want to take on all the headaches. The drivers that are out there and that are like, well, this is what we signed up for. Literally, I feel like they've been brainwashed to say, this is yours, this is your responsibility, this is what you're supposed to do. When I first signed on to driving a truck, I did it because it excited me. It looked like something I would really love to do. When I got in the industry, it seemed like it was going to be okay, and then I started seeing tires and parts and repairs. I'm like, what tire? I drive your truck. And I'm like, I don't understand. And now the checks that were maybe $700 a week, now they're down to $200 because now I've paid for your equipment and that you've probably turned over twice, and now I'm repaying for it again. So honestly, when I signed up for this, I signed up to work and make money and make a decent living for my family. And now I feel like I'm a prisoner, misclassified, stressed out, no money, and can't afford insurance for my own children.
And the sad reality, Carol, is that's a lot of the drivers out there on the roads.
That's what they. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's what they have to face with as they're driving daily. My kids don't have insurance. I got to get it. I got to get it. My kids has got to eat. I got to get it. I got to get it. And they wonder why these drivers are out here going over their logs and doing illegal things, but they're trying to make ends meet with the little bit of money that they are allowing them to have.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. And what I was going to say is it's why I hear my four-wheeler friends going off about, wow, those guys drive like maniacs. I go, yeah, their behind's on fire because if they don't get to the stop on time, they don't get that $20 bonus for being on time. And then it doesn't make it worth the load. And, it's a horrible situation, which is why I think we have to have much stricter, much stronger regulations for one, but more importantly, absolutely more importantly, unequivocally, the absolute bottom line is every worker should have the minimum of what I had when I was a Teamster driving a truck for a living. The ability to, when I come in, if it's not right, make them fix it. If I'm tired, I get to go home and make a decent living with decent benefits and decent conditions. I think that's the barest of bare minimums, Carol.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that's all we ask for. We ask to be safe. We ask to be classified correctly. And all we're asking for is to take care of our families and make sure that we don't hurt anybody else's family while we're out there. If we had the rights that we should have, these people would be happy with our driving. We wouldn't have to worry about too many DOT cops, and we would actually be home with our children at a decent hour.
I got to tell you, I drove for a number of years, and I don't ever remember being afraid of the chicken coops. I don't remember being afraid of the DOT guys. We would pull in, and they would do it over, and if there was something wrong, they wrote a ticket, and the company, it was theirs. It wasn't mine. And this idea that, now if I missed it in the pre-trip, obviously it would be mine, but I never missed any of that stuff. This is the way it should be. Those checks are there to ensure safety for everyone, not to be punitive and punishing for the drivers because the company has put them in that untenable position.
That's true. It is so true, and that's what's happening to this day. So
I want to just real quick go through the independent contractor status because I don't think a lot of folks understand exactly what an independent contractor is in the eyes of the law. So when you go to work, who do you work for?
Okay. As an independent contractor, I'm supposed to work for myself.
So you can take a break whenever you want. You can go home whenever you want. You can drive whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, right? You're your own boss.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
Aha.
But the way it is working is when I go to work, I'm told what time to come in. I'm told what box to get, when to get it, where to take it, when I got to be there. I'm told when I can go home. I'm told when to take my lunch. I'm told that I have to be in mandatory safety meetings. Pretty much, I'm told to do everything an employee's told to do.
Without the unemployment, without the workman's comp, without the Social Security, without all of the other things that a regular employee would get. So in looking at this, basically what we're doing is the bad actors, people that maybe that you work for that misclassify people as independent contractors, the bad actors are actually harming the people who want to do what's right.
That's right. That's right, because there are some people out there who are trying to do what's right.
Which is why I'm hoping that something changes in this. So what's the ask? Last line of questioning. What's the ask here? What do we want people to do? What do you want done?
We need all of our people that go into these stores to back these truck drivers up 100%. Everything in that store is brought in by a truck. A plane can't do it, a train can't do it, and neither can a boat. If that truck don't move, it don't go in the store. We're asking for support out in our communities. And the most important thing we're asking for is for us to be classified correctly. Classify us as the employees that you treat us as. so we could have the rights that we had